This is a Hinckley 44. They build these in Maine in the USA, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Look at the lines on this. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this particular boat is 22 years old. However, if you want a new one, they'll sell you one because they're still building them pretty much just like this. I think there's a slightly newer model, but in essence, apart from a few detail changes, this is what you get because it is an absolutely timeless classic. Just one of the nicest looking boats on the water. Absolutely beautiful. And we're going to take a full tour of this one, and I'm going to show you what it is all about. Let's spin on around and look at it from this angle. It is one of those boats that from whatever angle you look at it, it's just a beautiful, beautiful looking thing. There we go. In fact, we're going to go right the way around and take a look at it from over here because we'll see it better. Gorgeous, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, we're going to step on here. Now, you might have noticed these fellas down here. This is actually on water jets. And that basically means that rather than having shafts and rudders that stick out underneath the boat, it just has the jets that stick out the back. And what that means is it will float in 2 feet of water. You can pull this right up to the beach. Just fantastic. Okay, we will step on here and have a little look around. So, transom door here, obviously. And then we're out into the cockpit. Now, they've kept this really simple. Obviously, you can have freestanding furniture out here. You can have a table and director's chairs, that kind of thing. You've got these seats here that look aft, but then the actual cockpit area proper is up here. This one has got the bimini top on. In fact, you'll notice that there's zips here. So you can enclose this whole area. In the UK, that's quite a nice thing. But it will run apparently with this top up right up to its 30 knot maximum speed with no problem. Look at this woodwork. And I say again, it is 22 years old. Doesn't look it, does it? It looks magnificent. Now, if you buy a current one, there are a few options you can have. One of them apparently is you can now have glass bulkhead effectively that retracts down into here and comes back up, so you can enclose this area. That's as an option, or you can have it open backed as we've got here, which is also still very popular. And this, of course, then connects this whole area right through. So you've got this nice sheltered area up here. The table, as you can see, is height adjustable. And then this really comfy little zone tucked away. You're sheltered by the wheelhouse. Just a really nice place to be. Look at these rails they've put in here to hold on to as you walk through the boat. And then you've got the 2 helm seats up here, or helm and navigator, I suppose I should say. There we go. Like so. This one's got a pretty sophisticated navigation screen on. It's actually basically an actual computer. Normally they put just a multifunction display in here, but this was an owner spec. So yeah, that is apparently a full-on computer there. It does navigation, of course, but it does everything else. Throttle controls are here. This is interesting. This is a joystick which links the jets and the bow thruster, which means you can maneuver the boat just by using the thruster. We've got autopilot on here as well. And then, of course, VHF radio, and all the usual bits and pieces you'd expect. Sliding windows on the side, so you can get plenty of ventilation in that section there. Slides back, it's the same on the other side. And then more of that gorgeous woodwork, and you've got the hatches overhead as well, so you can open those for a bit more ventilation if you wish. Now, if you go in inside, if we go on inside, go in on side, I know what I mean. This is how she looks. This is in the classic American cherry. They do an option of teak if you want it, a little bit more traditional, but this looks nice in this matte finish. Now again, when the boat's new, you've got options here. So most of these go out with a dinette here, and then you've got a shower on one side and the heads on the other. What you can do is you can lose the shower on one side and have a combined heads and shower. That frees up that area. They then make this a little bit smaller, and then they make this a second cabin, because this is a 1 cabin configuration. Having said that, you can convert this anyway. You can drop that down. There's an infill that goes on and make that into a double bed if you wish. A lot of these boats, of course, are just owned by couples, so this is an ideal setup because you've got the bed up here in a separate cabin. So there's a doorway here. Here we go, comes across here. We've got, of course, hanging lockers and all that kind of stuff. In places like this, and bits of storage around the place. Little portholes as well. It's very nicely done, isn't it? Really nice. So in here is, in fact, the toilet. I think I said that was a shower, but the shower's on the other side. I couldn't remember. And that has got access from here as well, so it's day heads or it's an ensuite at night to this cabin, but that is just a toilet and a sink and a bit of storage. Just move that. These are quite neat. These are so that you can just clip these open if you wish to. There we go. And it means that you've got a bit of ventilation in there. This one then opens like this, and that is a proper separate shower. So you can imagine if you combine that with a toilet, that's how you can free up some space. But I think this particular setup for this style of boat works really well. Big galley area here. It is what we used to be allowed to call a gentleman's cruiser, isn't it? It's the sort of thing that, you know, as I say, a couple or a family as a day boat, that sort of thing. This is just ideal and so stylish. And for two people, very comfortable for cruising, and you've got that extra capacity with the dinette if you want it. Sinks are here. The storage, of course, underneath. That one there is storage. Decent sized cooker, gas hob. And then this is, I think one of these is a freezer and one of these is a fridge, if I remember rightly. Here we go. And that one there is actually front opening as well, so you can open it from there or from the top. Drawers down here, storage about the place in places like this. These have all got these lovely little finger catches on, look. It's all very traditional. And then the door there, and that's got that lovely sort of venting in. It's nice, isn't it? It's a really, really nice boat. Let's come right back here and take this all in properly. Fantastic. Let's have a look at the engines. So we come back out through here. I could show you on the deck, but to be honest with you, that's about it. We've just got the side decks around to the front and the coach roof. So I think we've done that. Let's look at the engines. So here we've got buttons and hatch lift, port hatch lift, starboard. If we push those, what we do need to do first of all actually is just move these cushions here out of the way. So there's one there and there's one where Maggie is sat. There we go. And that will allow us to power those up. There we go. So engines are down here, and they are a pair of Yanmar 440 horsepower engines. In fact, these were replaced in 2014, so these are less than 10 years old. They are giving the boat about 30 knots flat out, cruising at about mid-20s, 25, 26 knots, that sort of area, and a range of sort of mid-200s again, so 240, 250 miles, something like that. That's at planing speeds as ever. Drop the speed back, you get a lot further. Now this looks like a conventional shaft here, but in fact if we look right back underneath here, well, we can see them, the exhaust elbows are there, but yeah, right back there are the jets. And so what the jets are basically doing is they're impellers. They're pulling water up from underneath the boat and they're firing it out of the back. And as Isaac Newton will tell you, for every action there is a opposite reaction, and the opposite reaction is to push the boat forward. And it means that you end up with very little gear underneath the boat, and that's what gives it that amazing shallow water capability. Now, you might wonder about these wooden sections here. The reason for these is they drop into here. You can see there's matching ones here. We've got them on both sides, and you can infill these then with sunbed cushions, so you can have this big sunbathing area on the back of the boat. Obviously you just pull those out. If you're working on the engine, they just lift in like this and then secure with the tie down at the front. Pretty impressive, huh? There are hatches in the floor here, so you can get down into the front of the engines. Obviously from here it looks a little bit tricky, but that's how you would do that. Down through there and down, and you're in at the front. Yeah, very good indeed. Fantastic. Let's power those back down. Hit those switches again. Where are we? Hatch lifts. Here we go. And that's about it. I'm just going to say massive thanks to the Hinckley company. They organised this tour. They've been building these boats, incidentally, I was told, for almost a century. I think they're about, well, less than 10 years off of their centenary. So they've been in continuous build for a long, long time. They certainly seem to have the hang of it. That is a gorgeous looking machine. Huge thanks to you guys, of course, for watching. Let me know what you think of that one in the comments. And we'll catch you on another one of these real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.